Good morning. It's December 2nd on Friday morning early. Just had a great time last night at the dinner for some of our folks and just had a good time of fellowship. Appreciate those of you that went. We had a really good time. Just sitting here in my study doing some thinking this morning and wanted to share a thought with you if I could. You know, in Daniel chapter number 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are put before King Nebuchadnezzar because they refused to bow to an idol that he had erected. And this idol erected, he wanted them to bow down and worship it. There's a lot that could be said here. First off, worship and service are always connected. Whatever you worship, you serve, and whatever you serve, you worship. They are connected. But he wanted their external worship. He wanted them just make a show before this idol. And they said, well, we're not going to worship him, and neither will we serve him. Some thoughts that came about worship, you know, what determined for these men that they couldn't do that? And obviously we understand idol worship is a pretty glaring thing that we would avoid, but in a lot of cases the worship of our heart is not something so glaring. It's just simply taken a little bit at a time, or we're just moved off point just a little bit at a time, and then we find ourselves in awe of something that we shouldn't be in awe of. And so anyhow, but I got thinking, what draws our attention away from it, or how do we stay focused on worship? And just the thought that came to my mind is worship it's not a decision of 1,000 no's, but it's one big yes. So it's not trying to figure out what I can't worship, but determining the thing that I can worship and having my focus very clear on who it is that I worship. And when I get a very firm yes that God is all in all and that Jesus Christ is Lord of all, and that he is the only one worthy of my worship, then that determines what I can't worship. And I use the illustration in reference to my wife, or anybody's wife, and simply, or a husband. You marry, you didn't go around telling everybody no. You simply just told one person yes. And that one person is the determination of what you won't worship. And so if you get a clear yes to Jesus Christ, you get a clear yes to Almighty God, you won't be running around trying to decide what you can and can't do all the time, because your yes will be so clear. And I'm not saying we don't draw lines. We have to draw lines. But first, before we start drawing lines, let's get a clear yes that we're worshiping God and that our hearts are in allegiance to him. There was never a question in the mind of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego of who they're going to worship that morning. And there shouldn't be a question in our hearts this morning either. God bless you, folks. Hope you have a good Friday, and look forward to seeing you on Sunday.